10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5. Anybody still out in the hallway up there? And I'll give you some different stuff over the day tomorrow. By the time you leave, if you're here both days, I mean, I'll leave at least give you a dozen different things, videos, articles to read, and a lot of them are expanded over, a 20-year period, because in today, as good as the information is, it's almost information overload between Firehouse and Fire Engineering and Firefighter Nation. It's like, and a lot of times the good stuff is stuff that's been around a while, really good quality things instead of just the everyday videos. But what you're looking at here, this picture, this aftermath of, after the fire that claimed Maurice's life in ISO 1 Fire Department, is the more norm, if you will. If you looked at most residential line of duty deaths in the last 20 or 30 years, and you looked at a picture of the structure, the house, the day after, this is pretty common what it looks like. It's not like the house is underground, it didn't explode. I mean, sometimes the picture doesn't paint a full picture, like, inside the floorway or caved in the basement, that's just sometimes. But as a whole, it's not like it's this massive building that blew up. It's really bread and butter. Bread and butter fires is probably the number one thing that gets us on residential line of duty deaths nationwide, and it's the basics of hose launch, stretching, advancing, forcible entry, oriented search. Oriented search. Who here has taken an oriented search class? A legitimate 1, 2, a few of you. You don't understand until you've taken one the difference between what they taught you in rookie school, the fire academy, hold on each other's boot, stand against the wall. You don't really understand until you go take one of those classes. They're all over the country. Your probably closest group would probably be Brothers in Battle out of Oregon and Washington. But at the end of the day, and I'll never forget the 90s. I took my first one from Chief John Salco, New York City, retired, writes the back page of Firehouse Magazine. And I'll never forget the feeling that I had when I got done with taking that oriented search hot class, the hands-on training class. When I came out, my brain was on overload, thinking about every fire where I found somebody, or I didn't find them, somebody else found them on that same fire scene. And what was I asking myself? If I had this class in rookie school, could I maybe save this person's life, that person's life? Could we have found them quicker? Versus, because I'll be straight up with you. My earlier years going to a fire where I was assigned primary search was basically just going through the motions. I was going through the house. I wasn't scared. I wasn't asking myself, is this a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house? I wasn't asking myself, is it a 4-bedroom, 2.5 bath? When I was going in a bedroom, I wasn't asking myself, is this a bedroom that kids sleep in that might have a set of bunk beds? Or is this a master bedroom that's going to have a king bed with a walk-in closet and a walk-in bathroom? I wasn't asking myself, am I on tile or am I on carpet? I wasn't asking myself, hey, is this a 1.5 story where I got to find the stairs because there might be 2 kids upstairs? There's so many things that I had to really face reality that I didn't know what I didn't know. And I would say the majority of firefighters conducting a primary search in this country are just going through the motions. I would say most of the people doing a primary search are just going through the motions. They're going in there, they're getting hot, their gear's getting salty, they look cool, and they come out and they'll say primary search is complete. But if the chief said, how many bedrooms did you search? How many kitchens did you find? Did you find the living room and the family room? What size bed was in mom and dad's room? Did they tell you if it was a fool or a king? A queen or a king, Did the kids have a set of bunk beds? Did they have a trundle bed? Those are all critical things that if it was your family, would you want to know? Guaranteed. So, at the end of the day, I want to challenge you that it's an ongoing process of learning. And that one of the biggest problems with the fire service is once somebody gets to recruit school, they get state certified, they get on the job, They cannot appreciate the value of going and taking a one-day hot class on just forced entry, or a one-day hot class on search, or a one-day on VES. Who in here has taken a quality VES class, like a second floor, you throw the ladder, you take the money, you bail in, you find it, you really have to get it dummy, pass it out, bring that ladder. Raise your hand and hold it up. Raise it and hold it up. Awesome. At least, once a month, it's shared with me, within our network of people, where a successful rescue where somebody survived from VES is completed, but completed by somebody that within the last 12 months had taken a VES class, and it was the first time. And my question is, if they had not gone to that VES class, would that successful grab have happened? At least once a month, somewhere in the country. And they might have learned it in New York, they might have learned it in Portland, they might have learned it in LA, at Firehouse. It's not even one certain conference or training group. It's the fact that more than ever before, there's these conferences coast to coast. You don't have to go all the way around the country. You just got to be willing to humble yourself a little bit. I'm not picking on you, but as a chief, how many years do you have in the job? 20. As a chief, to humble yourself for 27 years and say, you know what? Those 30-year-old kids might teach me something about throwing a ladder to the second floor and going beyond the door, as some classes are called, taking a window, when to take the window and mask it up, when to throw it under. And the problem is, though, we have to humble ourselves to say that whether we have 10 years on a job or 30 years on a job, that, hey, they have a program, and that's what their job is to perfect that program through being just diving deep into finding out successful grabs, non-successful grabs, and literally the art of a specific task, whether it's oriented search, whether it's VES, whether it's forcible entry, whether it's stretching, a line. And the one thing that I hate is when I see firefighters around the country that they're already in the job, they have their FO1, their FO2, they got all their state certifications, they have a college degree, and now they think they're too good to go take a one-day hands-on class because of their age, rank, or seniority in the fire service on a specific task. And if we really want to be better, if we want to stop sucking, then fire departments, fire chiefs, training chiefs, organizations either need to start sending people and bringing it back to do a train-the-trainer or build the program within their own organization. Because I tell chiefs all the time, your initiatives are not going to do anything. Your initiative needs to be training. That's what it needs to be. Chiefs need to be with white shirts sitting in classes like this and every other class to just prompt themselves to get offended a little bit throughout the day, and then tomorrow get over being offended and saying, you know what, maybe our department should maybe bring in John Doe from wherever, Boise or whatever, to teach us a class. How many of you have been to the Boise Fire Symposium that's in the summer? I've never been there. I challenge you. I have nothing to do. I've never taught there. I might know through acquaintances. I know some people that teach here. But the Boise Symposium is 3 hours away. And from what I've seen on social media, the people I know that teach there, it's got to be a phenomenal fire conference 3 hours away. You got to go there. And do a hands-on class, do a hot class, and even if you're a line chief, take it so you can have appreciation for what you're sending somebody in battle to do, if you will, as a whole, as a class. Because that's the only way we're going to eliminate deaths like Maurice on November 25th, 2000, is just fireground tactics. Tactics put out fires, back to the basics, fundamentals. And this is some of the only pictures I have of him. Since his death, I literally have like 15,000 photos on my phone. I always buy the biggest memory. And, you got to take more pictures. Take pictures in the firehouse, take pictures of fires, after fires, at social events, schools groups. When my father passed away 3 years ago, I was able to, the phone made a video. And I didn't realize that hundreds, if not over 1,000 photos of my dad and I together. Off duty, at fires, training classes, at church or whatever. It's pretty cool, man. When I start missing him, I pull out my phone, man. I can just watch a movie and just focus on what? The good times, the good memories. I got 4 of these. If I could pay for it, I'd pay for a picture of Maurice standing on the second floor of the kitchen at 239 North Spring Street with the green lazy boys with a smile just looking at me saying, but I can't get that picture. You know what I mean? And that's all. I just love to have that one picture because it would just bring back the downtime between calls, hanging out at the firehouse together, if you will. We're not going to a picnic, as Chief Bob Hoff, retired commissioner of Chicago, would say. We're not going to a picnic. It should not be accepted in the firehouse when usually the one that thinks they're senior because they've got one day over whatever days they think requires them to be, they've achieved a ride seniority. You know, whether it's 12 years in one day or 22 years in 2 days. And now all of a sudden they're so cool and they're making fun of Johnny or Susie because, you know, they sleep in all their clothes because they want to be able to get to the rig quicker. They have their gear all set out perfect. Or when a fire happens, they're running to the truck. And, oh, you shouldn't run to the truck. It's not your fire. Anybody ever heard that? It's not your fire. It shouldn't be an emergency. And I can just go on and on with all the crap. If your house is on fire, and you're at work and it's in your first due territory and the box comes in at 2 o'clock in the morning for a working fire and your family's at home and you're sleeping, what are you going to do? Are you going to take a piss? Are you going to walk to the rig? Are you going to maybe halfway put on your bunker coat? Are you going to wait there to get out and maybe then grab the pack and kind of swing it over your shoulders? Does any of that sound familiar to stuff you've seen throughout your career? If it was your family, your husband and kids, or your wife and kids, and you're on duty in a firehouse, your ass would be, and you knew a fire's happening, you'd sleep in your clothes, you'd run to the rig, you'd have everything perfect. Your hood would be on top of your bunker pants, so you could put it on, put your thing, your radio would be slung over your coat, so you'd bring it, which would hold your hood down tight. You have your coat, you'd mask up, and you would be perfect. You'd be ready to go. If you're a staff chief that responded to fires from home, your car would always be back in, pointed out with the keys in the exact same location, 100% of the time. So at 2 o'clock in the morning, whether you're a staff chief or a volunteer chief, in the middle of the night when you're half asleep, your brain automatically knows what? Where the keys are. Muscle memory, professionalism of how you're structured and organized to function. We're not going to a picnic, folks. We're going to a fire. I'm going to say it again. 3 minutes and 40 seconds. That's what you have today. 3 minutes and 40 seconds. From ignition, you have 3 minutes and 40 seconds to hope that if heat, fuel, and oxygen are in equal proportion, that from ignition, the first room's going to flash. So that means somebody's got to see the fire, they got to contact 911. They're awesome at dispatch, man. They're the fastest people ever. I mean, dispatch centers across the country are perfect. I mean, they process calls in like 10 seconds flat, they dispatch it, they always give the exact information, and they share everything the caller gives you, right? All right. So you want to be able in 3 minutes and 40 seconds, somebody notifies, they call 911, you hear the tones, you get up, you get your gear on, you get on the rig, you know where you're going, you don't have to punch it in the garment because you know the streets. And you're able to respond there from ignition to flashover in less than 3 minutes and 40 seconds. Did you know that's almost impossible even if the fire's a mile from the firehouse? Because it'll probably take 30 seconds to 60 seconds, even on a perfect day, for somebody to know that the fire started by the time the smoke detector goes off and they see it. Then it's going to take them a minute to get on the phone and actually dial 911, a dispatcher to answer the phone, process the information. You're already at almost 2.5 minutes and 3 minutes before they even start thinking about doing what? Dropping the tones. The tones can take 30 seconds to drop. Would you agree with that sometimes for a box alarm? Then you get the address, and now how long does it take you to go from the kitchen or the bunker even to the rig to be able to pull it out of the station? 90 seconds is fast. Like literally get all your gear on and get on the rig. Can you see where I'm talking? Time is not on our time. As Howard Reinwald from East County, Montgomery, Texas would say, when seconds count, we count seconds. And that's what we got to do. We got to be counting seconds. We got to be thinking about what we're doing and how we're doing it and having a system. Because by the time we get there, if it's a working fire, scientifically, the first flashover is 3:40. The second, we don't know what it's going to be. A minute later, 2 minutes later, we really don't know. So we're pulling up there. We're not worried about the first flashover. We're worried about the second or the third flashover. And reflecting how long from when I see what I see and my size up and my tactics that I determine what's it going to be by the time I inflict those tactics, stretching the line. How long does that take? And, you know, what is your staff? Is your organization good and truly getting it? Who's been to the fire where the first new rig couldn't even get the line stretched properly? I mean, it's like spaghetti and hose and kinks, and they can't get water. The driver can't get it pumped. Anybody know about the first new driver in the Super Soda Store fire in June of 2007 in Charleston, South Carolina? He's a doctor now. First new driver, he's a doctor. You may know who he is? Yep. You don't want to be him. Have you heard him speak? You don't want to be him. I remember when the fire happened. I was a battalion chief at the time, now same battalion, second battalion. I listened to the audio over and over, drop tears, listening to the audio over and over, just listening to it. I built a whole program. I went to the funeral. I sat at the funeral on the outside row when 9 caskets came by and almost touched them. And literally just tears. My shirt was wet, my Class A uniform. I was just thinking those 9 caskets coming by when I was at the funeral. Because for me, it was only about a 7-hour drive to get to Charleston to go to it. When I was reading the report, it goes back, I opened it up this morning when I talked about forcing somebody in to drive before they should be driving. That's him. Couldn't get it pumped. Somebody with a little more experience, a little more time. It wasn't his fault, it's the organization's fault. It's culturally the fire service's fault. Somebody else came over, boom, they got it pumped just based on experience. You ever get a chance, go listen to him. Read his book. Got numerous books out, one about first responders and tattoos. Listen to him. Guy went through, PTSD at some crazy level, drinking and drugs and everything else, and how he teaches all over the country. But his whole story in a simple box comes down to 10 months. It's pretty close to my 10 months story. It was 10 months on the job and made him drive to the worst fire in recent history where 9 firefighters didn't go home. I could talk about Charleston's fire for hours, man. I went to the funeral, I went and stood out in front of the Super Sofa Store fire, and of course the ATF and the FBI were there, and they had 4-foot glow sticks that stood out of each location of each other. And to stand on the sidewalk and see them 9 people, and then later listen to the audio where they said, tell my family I love them, they're praying their last rites. They knew they were done. They were on the radio talking in that sofa store, furniture warehouse, talking on the radio. And you know what? We can't go back to before the Super Sofa Store fire and talk about trying to find a hydrant behind a building, cutting a fence for another water supply, or the fact that 800 feet of double 2.5 is not going to give you any water, the distance is too long, or the fact that, we get a fire in a loading dock where you're working out of boxes for somebody, we need to be hitting it from as a fire, we need to be hitting the shit out of it, and you can't stretch a gazillion feet, 1.5 inches with that kind of nozzle and expect it's going to put out any fire, understanding drop seals and thermal imagery. We can't go back and teach those 9 firefighters. We can't teach that culture that was there, because that's actually a great fire department. If Charleston Super Sofa Store fire didn't happen, you wouldn't even know about Charleston Fire Department. I did. My buddy went to the Citadel. I've been there back in the early 90s when my buddy was going there. And what do you think I thought as a firefighter when I went there in the 90s to Charleston? Badass. That's what I thought. Awesome. And it still is. Great firefighters, awesome fire department, a lot of wood frame builds, very aggressive. And 9,999.9 times, they were bad to ball, weren't they not? They were just aggressive, great fire department, a lot of history, jumping on wood frame fires, they saved a lot of lives. And then that one fire, for lack of a better term, I hate referring to this, the anomaly happened. But could it have happened in Escambia County, my department? Yeah. Our problems would have been some of the same, but have been some different, things that we're not good at. And it's hard to look in the mirror at a fire and instead of focusing on what they did right, what they did wrong, they say, what would we do? How would we have messed this up? You know what I mean? And the Charleston fire is a fire, if you go to my website, the video I told you about the 2.5-inch attack, that's one of the reasons why I drove my apartment on a 2.5, moving into a big building, because what if I have a Super Sofa Store fire? And what happens if for some reason in the back office, there was a family of 6 that were going to buy a sectional sofa, and unbeknownst to them, there's an alarm system, they're tracking, they're on their cell phones. Am I going to, as a battalion in Escambia County, trying to make a push and trying to save that family of 6? Yeah, but if I'm going to do it, I better beforehand have what? Predicted that potential and have a company that's designed and trained not to take 1.5 inches with an automatic nozzle, but a 2.5 and 1 3/16 where they can truly reach out and touch the fire and be able to push in. And I need to know that as we're pushing in, that I can have a company at the same exact time when we're building that loading dock doing what with a ram or a blitz fire or Mercury, whatever brand you're using, a deck run, knocking the shit out of it. And know that I can have a 2-pronged flanking attack in today's fireground with radios and communication and coordination. Because we have to study history, not to disrespect them, but to remember them so we can move forward. Had 2 firefighters, Houston, Texas, died of fast food restaurants. One of them, she was 5 feet from the back door. They take the trash out. 5 feet. AC unit came down and crushed her. Now, I have a lot of friends that work in Houston. My thing was, oh, they shouldn't be in there, all this. My thing was, what if I'm at a fire and for some reason firefighters are inside? What can I do to keep that one happening? Number one thing, force that back door, chop it open, so when she gets there, close proximity, she sees that door, she's going to go a little faster, maybe she just makes it out the door before the AC comes down. But it's easy to just sit there and say, I've never seen anybody go back down the fire. You probably won't. Well, let's just say, your brain just say, what if I do? What are the things that I could do to keep that same fire from happening in my organization? That's what you have to do. And remember that we're not going to a picnic. We're going to something way more complex, and time matters. And that we've got to think about how we're going to predict those incidents with our own community so we can build a training program that involves walking, running, and then sprint. And it involves the basics before the advance. Your organization shouldn't be doing written firefighter survival if you haven't even done basic engine company operations on basic stretching and just nozzle techniques on a water application and full visibility, then diminished visibility with furniture, and then zero visibility with furniture. And you have a path just like put somebody in kindergarten and learn their ABCs and to write an essay. And that's the problem across the country is most departments don't take the time to truly paint a path. It's not about next week, but build a culture that's going to be 5 years from now. People come ride with me in Escambia County, and we'll run fires and calls, and they'll, oh, this is cool, this is awesome, and they'll be all impressed, and I'll say, it didn't happen overnight. It's been 19 years in the making. And when they're there, they see all the cool stuff, but when I'm there, what am I seeing? The little things, and I'm making notes, and I don't beat them up for it, like, that's going to be a part of our training program. That's what I'll have a call next week, and I'll hold all the companies for a smell of smoke, and I'll have them do something they don't even know why they're doing this because they messed it up last week, and when they're done, we just corrected it without anybody being berated about what's going on, about stamping time, holding the box on the side, what I like to call playing G.I. Joe or Barbie dolls, but we're not going to do a picnic. Sweat the small stuff. Sweat the small stuff. Don't get lazy. Look for reason to throw ladders and stretch that second line or that third line. This is a converted house. It's bigger than it looks. Front was a one-story. They added on to the one-story. Then in the rear, you can barely tell, they added a whole other two-story house in the rear. So in the end, is this going to be a simple floor plan? Is it going to be a chopped up? It's like 3 houses connected. In the end, the whole total square footage is not really that big. It's like maybe 2,200 square feet. But it's a dangerous 2,200 square feet because it's a lot of little rooms, little return staircase. And so this fire was sometime back in probably 1997. And it's my buddy Chad Sullivan. He came out here west coast to wildland firefighter. But this fire happened in only about a 2-hour period, right around dinner time when I came in to stand by for a firefighter that had his kid had a sporting event. Now, when I was normally on duty at this time, when I came to work, I was one of the few, if not the only person that had a radio sling, where I wore my radio, my mic hung out the top like an elephant trunk. The rest of the entire organization, the fire department, carried their portables. Like basically, there was no lapel mics. Firefighters didn't even have radios. Just the officer had a radio, and sometimes the driver did. The driver didn't have a portable. They had the headset where it plugged in, modified, like, refurb job. So I come that morning, I got off, before this fire, I got off, and one of the other firefighters was, leadership is like one person doing it, and one person following. And then he follows, and then Vince said, well, you're the one person that came up and said, hey, I'd like to try a radio strap. So I'm getting off work, what do? All right, I loaned my radio strap for the day. That night I come in to work a 2-hour swap. I don't have my radio strap. And I'm putting on a rig as the boss on night 11. I put my gear by the rig, and I don't have a radio strap, so now I'm converting back to what I'm not used to, just carrying a portable radio. Unbeknownst in that 2-hour period. I'm just there for a 2-hour swap. Think about it. You've all been here where you come in and stand by for an hour or two and you didn't get your gear out of your locker. Or you just threw the bag by the rig. You didn't get it out, you didn't check your mask, you didn't pre-check your mask. Everybody with me on that? Who in here's willing to admit they've done it? You came in for just a couple hours standby and you didn't get on the same duty, the same as I call it, getting on duty. You didn't get on duty like you were for 24 hours. If you're going to be on duty, either be on duty or don't be on duty. There's really no halfway. This is one of my one story of many stories that I wasn't really on duty. I got there, I put my gear, guess what? Structure fire comes in. And I don't even tell, this thing was rocking. By the time it was over, it was probably out 5 or 6 windows. But I'm on a ladder truck and I'm responding in. First new company stretching the line of the front door. It's a 3-person engine company. So the chief gets on a radio, phenomenal battalion chief. Ladder 11, go ahead, ladder 11. It was me, ladder. And he didn't call me by rank. I was a lieutenant, but he said, I want you to back up engine 5 for a fast attack and a search operation. Copy that, chief. So I jump off the ladder 11, I get to the front door, and Ted Sutherland, who's on engine 5, is at the front door of the Niles. I get him, I say, hey, I got you. And he said, copy that, Lou, we're going. So I'm backing him up. He's on engine 5. His captain, it's 1997. Where's his captain? First new engine company. Where's the captain? Who's in the fire service in the 90s? Where's the captain based on the National Fire Academy and what they were pushing? No. He was in the front yard, no air pack, because he had to do what? Command. Yeah, got to establish command. That's going to make the fire ground safer, right? I don't know his command of the attack lines were going to put this kitchen fire out, right? So the captain in the front yard, no air pack, no, I'm not knocking. That was our culture at the time. The captain of the first new engine company established command. So he's in the front yard, and at the time when the chief showed up, they still just stood in the front yard because the attack was already in motion. So now I'm on a ladder truck, and I'm technically the interior supervising officer as the backup, when in reality, if the first new captain was backing him up, what can I do? I can be searching, but we're tying somebody up. So I'm backing him up, we're pushing through the front door, we're pushing in, and as we're pushing in, we're a lot of board conditions. So I pull my radio out of my pocket, because I can't talk on it. I pull it out. Ladder 11 attack to command. We need more pressure, we need more hose. That's what I said. We need more pressure, we need more hose. Copy that. Well, right then, Chad's an aggressive firefighter, so he's playing tempo where he's making a push. So I don't take the time to put my radio back in my pocket. I set it down on the table. Just for a second. That's all I'm doing. I'm just sitting there for a second, right? Just sitting there for a second. So I go back and get a little more hose from the front door. He's pushing in, kitchen's rocking and rolling. I mean, it's a good fire. Furniture's all in there, old furniture. Man, this thing's going pretty good. We're pushing in. And I forget I left the portable on the table. I don't have a lapel mic hanging out. My portable's not in my pocket. It's on the table. As we're pushing in the kitchen. It's Grandma's kitchen, right? There's 2 ways in. Little small like that, little big kitchen. We're pushing in. Unbeknownst to me, the chief in the front yard, not sitting in a buggy 5 blocks down the street. The chief's in the front yard where he can actually see what? The battlefield, kind of like Coach Sweeney and Coach Stamen do, right? Where they have to truly call a play based on what they see. Somebody have to describe it to them over the next 5 minutes using colors and radio signs. He instantly standing in the front yard in command, not in the building, command sees the building, and he sees rolling out the front door, thick black smoke, and then he sees an auto ignite. And going to the front door underneath, there's a hose line. Now to us, we don't know there's a problem, because as we're pushing in, what's that fire been doing? It's spreading around, gets into the grandma's formal dining family room. I'm talking about the one we don't sit on the couch and you know what I mean? It's like everything in the house is a shithole except this one room. Anybody ever been to that before? Like it's the beautiful furniture that's untouched. There's like plastic over grandma's like stuffed chair. You know what I'm talking about? That's why you're laughing, right? So a pretty good fuel package. Imagine that video, the modern legacy furniture that's that room. Everything's neat and perfect. And unbeknownst to us, that room was just flashed over. That's the third flasher. But we're in the kitchen, right behind us. We watered all that down. We're pushing into the kitchen. And I'll tell you, we're using a selective gallonage Akron automatic technology. So we don't, at the time, didn't know for about 80 gallons a minute. And literally, the fire's coming out the front door, and thank goodness we got locked up. We couldn't get, so what did I have to go back and do? Get some hose as a backup. And I went back far enough, the radio on the table, and the height of the table, what's the chief on the radio doing? He's hollering for me. Everybody says, oh, we got to stay calm and cool. Is there a time for to show a little bit of excitement? Chief Baker, 36 years on the job, master's degree from Oklahoma State University in fire engineering. Every NFA flash we had. He had everything from formal education to he was like a bad to the bone firefighter captain. He's on the radio, I'm like, shit, there's a problem. Chief Baker's yelling. You know what I mean? Like, you can hear some nervousness in his voice. And so I go to the radio and I get on, I say, go ahead, Chief. He said it's lighting up. And I'm like, oh shit. You know what I mean? And right then, what's he doing? He's got another company stretching the line. And that line gets stretched and they're pushing the front door. And I went back in there and I got Chad. We bent the line over ourselves. We didn't turn it like this because what would that do? That pinch you'd be locked up. He hands it over, hands it to me. Now he becomes my backup. And we backtrack towards the front door doing what? Putting out that room of fire. In the end, everything worked out. Not a big deal. It's a cool story to tell you. What would have been nice to prevent that from ever happening? I didn't have a story to tell. And it all came down to me not having my radio strap. It came down to me not being used to having a portable taking it in and out. And in fact, the reality, that day, that fire, whatever it was, 1997, I think it was, from then on, if you worked for me, you worked under my command. It's not an option. You wore a radio and a radio sling, and a mic will hang out on the top of your coat. It will not be on the top of your coat, it will be under your coat. Because that cord that attaches to the mic is rated at about 130 degrees before it starts melting. They've already proven the radio works just as good under your coat as it does over your coat, and it ought to be standard procedure. And in Escambia County Fire Rescue, it's not an option. You shall wear your radio and a radio sling with a mic under your fire coat with the mic hanging out the top. It's not up for debate. It's policy procedure 100% across the board. You think that's something that should probably be in every fire department? Guaranteed. It's a life safety issue. Are there a few exceptions where people have some weird radio systems where on the outside it's fine? Is it maybe okay if the chief in command has it on the outside and it's easier for them to pull around and look at the radio? Yes. But if you're in combat and a radio is not designed for combat heat, then what should you do? Be wearing it in a system in a way that would provide additional protection. After a couple of different fires, one of them being Berkeley Way, they actually sent reports to Motorola. And Motorola, there's a letter from Motorola that states the temperature that the lapel mic is rated to. So as crazy as it is, there was more than one fire department that contacted Lion Apparel and wanted them to make a protective PPE sleeve that one manufacturer referred to as a condom for the, and I'm not trying to be funny, of the lapel mic. Isn't that stupid? It's simple. You know how we fix it? You wear it under your bunker coat with the mic hanging out. Like the FDNY's been doing since when? The 70s. The 70s. But you and I, you and I are so insecure and so defensive about not being the FDNY that anything that's perceived to be in the FDNY school boards or maybe lapel mics, we're not going to do. Is there some truth to that? Of sometimes how we think mentally and insecurity-wise, psychologically, we're not the big city. No, we're not the big city. That's what means that we need to do as much as we can like the big city outside of not having our staffing so we're that much more productive. And the FDNY, what is the second new engine company? Largest fire department in America. And the FDNY, regardless of what borough of the city you're in, what is the second new engine company's job and their SOGs, their response procedures? What is the second new engine company's job? Back up the first line. Think about that. Who in here arrives with 2 people on an engine company? Raise your hand. 3 people on an engine company. 4 people on an engine company. Right? So most of you are 3 or less. So the FDNY that rides with 6 people on an engine company, some of them 5. But nobody in New York, no engine company in the city of New York rides with less than 5. So New York City, and the history of their fires, and the number of fires that they go to and have gone to, if their second new engine company, unless dictated otherwise by a chief officer, is to assist. So think about this. A second new engine company with 6 people in New York City, their primary job when going to a fire is helping the first engine on scene that already has 6. They're assigning 12 people to get an inch and 3/4 line into a house. See, here's where the closed-minded person thinks of. It's never even been in New York City. Well, of course, that's because they're going to big, tall buildings. Don't tell anybody it's a secret. New York City has 1-story bungalow shacks, 2-story private dwellings, 2-story townhomes. It's called Queens, Staten Island, Brooklyn, and the Bronx. Their high-rises are pretty much limited to about a 25 square mile area, a place called Manhattan. But most people, that's all they think about when they think about New York is Manhattan. Instead of Harlem, Brooklyn, the South Bronx, they have apartments, they have little, has anybody ever seen them? In the last 30 years, they have numerous line of duty deaths in the FDNY. What are the line of duty deaths? What kind of buildings? Private dwellings, single-story and 2-story houses. Or, brownstones, which a brownstone is no different than right down the street here, a 2.5-story condo or townhouse thing. I tell you that because it's not about New York, it's about the fire service and learning from others. So if you're rolling up with a 2, 3, or 4-person engine company, And I said this morning, you have a fire on the second floor, Charlie, down the corner of a private dwelling with a return stairwell. Did you need a second arriving apparatus to help the first apparatus get that line where it needs to go before you start doing 500 other functions to check in a box? Guaranteed. You need somebody on the nozzle, you need somebody backing them up, and you need somebody at the door. That's the basics. Think about that. 40 people. I'm going to hit this again to where literally it's like a broken record. But you need a baseline of 3 people for a tap line, even at a private one-story shotgun straight-in kitchen. Somebody on the nozzle, somebody backing them up, and somebody at the door to feed hose, and to evaluate vent point ignition conditions. Black smoke below the doorknob if nobody else is watching. And somebody at the door feeding hose, that is their job. They're the ones that hopefully they got a radio. They can say, hey Lou, it's getting nasty, you might want to open up, or whatever the case may be, is on the radio. Now, if it's not a kitchen fire, they got to turn left or right. Now you need a 4th person, right? Somebody at the door, somebody at that turn, and then the nozzle backward. Now what happens if they go in, and a set of stairs goes from the back of the house to the front of the house, and it's got a landing. Everyone talk about a set of stairs, it's not a straight shot. Now we need somebody at the front door. We need somebody at the bottom of the stairs, that's 2. We need somebody at the landing, that's 3. We need somebody at the top of the stairs, that's 4. And then we need the nozzle and the back of that 6 people to get a line on a standard return staircase at a 2-story private dwelling. But the problem is around the country, so many times that fire on the Charlie down the corner is on a second floor, it's a one-room fire, they ought to stay a one-room fire. It comes to burn the roof off, because the first connection company pulls up with 2 or 3, and they'll say, we're attacked, like you're in a promotional ceremony, you know what I mean, trying to get promoted, and the second two will be catching a hydrant. They really don't need a hydrant right now, they need more people, so they're letting supply line, and then truck 1 will be like cutting a hole in the roof, because the hose line's never going to make it to the second floor, and the rescue 1's going to be the RIT team. At the end of the day, the hose line's never even going to make it to the second floor bedroom. They're going to be calling everybody out. That fire happens almost every day somewhere across the country. And if that same fire, we do it over and just say, you know what, the first 2 rigs or the first 3 rigs, depending on your staffing, will focus on getting that first line to the second floor to get water in the fire. Then we'll start focusing on some roof operations and taking some windows and doing whatever else it is that we need to do on a fire ground. So we got to sweat the small stuff. And the small stuff a lot of times is the big stuff. And the small stuff and the big stuff in any private dwelling is staffing that first line. If the only thing, at the end of the day, when you go to a fire next week, if all you remember from this class is water on smoke, cotton candy coming out the front door, heat, fuel, and oxygen, and staffing the first line adequately, 2 days of being here will be working. Because if your fires are going to go smoother, they're going to go better, and it's going to be a safer fire ground, if you will, for the future. Yeah, go ahead. All right, no problem.
Guys, glad to meet everybody, see you all here. Chief Coffee had to leave, so I guess I'm seeing I have false chiefs here, so my name's all around the bag. Pretty cold here this week. I'm on the floor. That's on Tony Hero. Thank you.
That's best.
It's freaking cold in here now. Can you hear me?
Hey, you just go ahead when you're done and we'll break for lunch. That's look, it's 1:45. Some food here?
Yeah, who's here? Where's
All
my
right,
dog?
do what you gotta do and it's lunch break.
Okay, thanks, Chief. So, I want to thank you all for coming, and I don't know what to say before it doesn't matter, but sincerely thank you for coming. And everyone that isn't here that needs to be here, see if you can convince them to come tomorrow. That'd be awesome. We're going to take a few minutes. Paul Davis Restoration has always been extremely good to the fire service in Southeast Idaho, and they're going to take a few moments to present some each round of business and some
Jeremy from Baltec, you have anything on that?
No, we're good. We appreciate all you guys, the service, and, you know, beyond that, that's Jake said all.
Thanks, guys. Enjoy lunch.
Must be a fire.
Now there's no idle false chiefs here, so without further ado, I'm gonna have the chief, the microphone to Weston, he's gonna turn us
Then
out.
911, capture fire, 1456 Albany Street, town now.
Take the picture for me. Awesome. Is it working?
Yeah, well, we'll see.
All right.